Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello, everyone. This is Stacy reporting live over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by.
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We are very excited to be chatting with you today about our next episode of Stranger Things. So we are on our Lovers Lake deep dive of season 2, and we are going to talk about chapter 3 today. And what is that chapter called?
Pollywog. Or just Pollywog.
I think it's the Pollywog. I don't know.
It's Pollywog or is it Pollywog?
Oh, goodness. So this was a fun episode.
It was.
It was a fun episode because the little cute thing is like my favorite. I love Dart when he's cute and little.
Oh my God, it looked like a booger. Like, Jesus.
No, I'm totally team Dustin that he's adorable, and
Yeah.
let's not get too much into poor Yordle and
Okay, thank you, Yordle being evicted. And then also, I had a turtle growing up. Herbie, he was a dick. But literally, like, turtles, or tortoises, no matter how nice they are, they will bite you. So just the fact that that turtle was raw dogging it in his bedroom,
right,
I'm
just
like,
crawling around like poor Yordle.
poor Yordle.
Oh my goodness.
But
So,
anyways, whoa,
yeah.
we went way ahead. We open with Dustin. He's coming home. It takes place Halloween night, of course.
Yeah.
And Claudia, this was a nice little callback to E.T. She is dressed as a cat, which was adorable.
Absolutely.
She's asking how is the greatest night of the year. And he's a little nervous, and his Ghostbusters trap starts making noises. And he says that that's part of the whole gimmick. He made it do that and stuff. And I love them nervously laughing.
Mm-hmm. So she knows something's up with him, though, because he's not being enthusiastic about Halloween when it's like his favorite night.
Yeah.
But did you like how she's like, she asks him if he's constipated again?
And I love that he's so disturbed. Claudia gives me energy of the mom that would like force you to have prune juice. Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of energy she would have. So I think Dustin dodged a bullet, like him just playing it off. And, you know, he was like, oh, yeah, it was, I love that. He's like, oh, it was totally awesome. So I love that.
Tubular.
Tubular. And he goes into his bedroom, and that's when he evicts poor fucking Euro.
I know. And he puts this little slimy thing inside of the tank, and he starts to see if it's hungry. So I liked the continuation of the last episode with him feeding it the Three Musketeers bar. And it didn't want to come out because the light was on. So he
Oh, the
kind of
heat
has
lamp.
to turn the heat lamp off, and then it comes out, and he names it D'Artagnan, which did you understand that reference?
That is a Three Musketeers reference, because I
Yeah.
saw the real shitty 90s one where they had Charlie Sheen and Keith Sullivan and Chris O'Donnell, whatever his name was from Batman movies. That movie fucking sucked. But that was how I got it. And also there is a great quote from the movie Waiting for Guffman when he talks about how like you can insult somebody nicely and it's like a lace glove slapping you in the face. And you say, D'Artagnan, how dare you speak to me that way? So I picked up on that right away. Did you?
I knew it must have been a Three Musketeers reference because he like looks at the Three Musketeers wrapper and then like decides to give him that name, but I didn't really super connect it. Like
if
I
you
didn't
ever
know.
want to connect well, there's a great Wishbone episode where he is D'Artagnan.
There you go. Wishbone was pretty much like one of my favorite shows when I was a kid.
Yeah, that dog was magical. Now, I have to say, D'Artagnan actually looks pretty good. I don't know if they used a puppet, but this CGI for 2017, it held up pretty good. I would like to believe that maybe it was a puppet with CGI kind of sprinkled over it.
I saw something about what they used, especially in that scene where they're kind of like passing it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was in that like behind the scenes thing that they did for season 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't watched all the episodes yet, but I'm gonna have to see if that was like if they were actually holding a puppet
I don't
because
think so. It was like a ball.
damn, I was gonna
Yeah.
say if that was a mixture, because I always say Jurassic Park still looks good because it was half animatronics, half CGI, and I feel like that's the perfect mixture. Whatever CGI they were using this season, it worked lovely because that thing looked wet, it looked moist, not to use that word, sorry guys. It looked real. So Dart, whatever the CGI they were using, it looked great.
Yeah, he was beautiful.
And we do the title credits. We open in a flashback in the woods at night. It's snowing, and Eleven is watching Hopper leave food for her in that little box. I'm going to assume
Which
was that
did you
Christmas
think-
night?
that's what I was going to say. Did he do that multiple times, or was that the only time that he did it and then
Yeah.
she just went with him?
Either that,
I
she
wasn't
like
sure.
she was a good guest. Like she kept returning the Tupperware, I guess, because it looks like the same
Right.
Tupperware.
So
and
maybe it was
Eggos.
Christmas.
It
Yeah.
could have been Christmas, but damn, I'm like, okay. So yet again, I just noticed the length of her hair again. And I was like, this is fucking a lie.
Yeah.
So she approaches him, revealing that she is still alive, which I'm
Yep.
like, To Hopper telling her to rise and shine, she's clearly still upset from the night before.
About Halloween. Yeah. But he does lure her out of bed with the triple-decker Eggo extravaganza.
Which, what a good flavor it is with the Scoops Ahoy ice cream.
It is a great flavor.
They dig in, and I love the line of him being like, it's a good thing it's only 8,000 calories. That was
She's
great.
just like doesn't give any reaction. She's
Yeah.
just like
She's over it. And Hopper
Yeah.
sees the cord to the TV leading into her bedroom. And like
Which
you
we
said,
had
like,
said, yeah, we had said he must have heard it.
he
Yeah.
to have heard that static. Now that you pointed that out, I was like, what the fuck? And asks if she visited him last night, meaning Mike. And
Mhm.
Al remarks, he said that he needs her help. And Hopper asks, like, do you want me to go check in on him? She says no. He explains that it's too dangerous right now and promises she'll see him soon, not just in her head, but in real life. And he feels like he's making progress with these people, which I'm assuming is like the
lab.
lab, meaning
Yeah.
Owens.
That's what I
And
thought too.
here, Elle gets kind of pissed, Megan. And what does she say?
She wants to know when soon is going to be. Like,
Hmm.
it's almost a year, which she tells him the amount of days, which is because Mike has been counting also.
Yeah.
And I like how he's like, what are you counting? Like you're some prisoner or something.
Mhm.
But I mean, he does sort of like have her locked up in the house. Like, I know he's trying to keep her safe. Like,
This
I
was
get it.
This was the thing. It's a double-edged sword. I get both
Yeah.
of their sides because,
Yep.
like, for God's sakes, you're a girl that has special mind powers that have killed people that's wanted by the government. That's a big chunk. And also, he had a daughter, Sarah. So it's almost like he's trying to protect her from the outside world. And they're in this bubble where he feels like he can shelter and protect her. So he's nervous
Yeah.
of something happening. But then on her side, she is kind of locked up. The curtains are drawn. Her only like escape is the TV and him coming over, every night. So it's very like I would be going stir crazy. I can
Yeah,
only
yeah.
imagine.
And I
So
think
I
that's
see both sides.
Yeah, and that's where she's at. She's kind of going stir crazy, and she kind of yells at him like, when is soon? Day 500, day 600, day 700.
Mhm.
And then she says the whole like friends don't lie, and she like makes a
Mhm.
big mess, which I do get his side of it too. Like, he's not trying to be her friend.
No.
Like he's trying to be a parent and a protector. Like, that is a different relationship than a friendship. Like,
It's the first time she's dealing with this kind of relationship too.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We cut from Hopper's cabin to the buyer's house. And this is the scene also we're talking about last week or last episode where Joyce can't find her keys and Bob finds them and he comes out of the bedroom, I guess.
Oh,
And
yay.
Jonathan's like, he's staying over now.
Woo!
But Joyce can't be late to work again, is what she says. So she's asking Jonathan to take Will to school, and Bob volunteers.
The Bobmobile.
Yes, I would like to take a ride in the Bobmobile.
It looked lovely. I don't know what song was playing, but you know what? That's
Whistle on the River by the Mercy Brothers.
delightful.
It was I thought it might have been some Kenny Rogers, but I guess not.
You know, and I like that because like Jonathan would be going in the same direction because the schools are right next door to each other. But I like that Bob's making that effort to try to have a little one-on-one time with him. Just a sweet guy.
After that, Dustin goes to the library, which this is hilarious. He's checking out lots of books on like reptiles and amphibians, even though he has one at his house, but I guess he needed more information. And because he like fell asleep reading it.
He did.
It was cute. I like how the librarian is like, no, you know the rules, Dustin. Only 5 books at a time. And he's like, counts them. Like, I have 5. And she like shows him his little card and is like, no, you still have 5 books at home. Which, of course, he already has 5 books at home. But
is that the same librarian?
It's the same librarian as season 4. Yeah.
Is it the from 1, 2, where like Hopper goes her?
I don't know. Maybe.
Whoa.
She's definitely in 4, but maybe in 1 also. Let me look it up. Marissa, she's played by Christy Walden. She appears in episode 3, episode 11, which I guess is what we're on.
Yeah.
And episode 28.
That's awesome. Same actress. Look at that. So after she tells Dustin, Megan, okay, you have 5, what happens?
Well, what does he say he needs?
Well, he needs his paddles because he's going on a knowledge voyage.
No, it's a curiosity voyage. But yeah, he needs his paddles. I love how he's kind of like parodying Mr. Clark.
Yeah, his hero, which we will be talking about. But I love that he books it. Like, he's like, what the hell is that? She looks over her shoulder,
and
grabs his books,
them.
and just screams, I need my paddles, which, damn, Dustin, like, whoo, hope they let you keep renting out books.
Then we go back to Will and Bob in the Bobmobile having a little conversation.
What are they talking about?
So they're talking about Bob's talking about this clown that he met at the county fair one year.
Which, have you heard the theory about how Bob, that might have been Pennywise from the It movies?
Right. So I think there's a connection because Bob's parents have a house in Maine. And I don't know Pennywise and It and everything, but I know that I've seen that it happens in Maine. But Bob says at the Roane County Fair.
So
and that's where they are in Indiana.
So, oh shit, is it really? Well, there was quite the, kind of like theory that was going around for a while that could have been Pennywise because he could appear in different places and stuff and take different forms. And they were like, oh, well, his age would have probably lined up, because all the shit happens in the 50s, the late 50s. So for a while, they were like, that could have been Pennywise. And of course, there's that link that Finn went on to play young Richie and stuff. And the Duffer Brothers were heavily inspired by Stephen King, clearly. So that's always a fun little thing because you're like, wait a second.
I think it's an intentional connection to
it. Oh, absolutely.
I had actually written down like in Maine because I remember his parents have the house in Maine, but he said in the car at the Roane County Fair, which is where they are in Indiana.
And I'm sorry, Pennywise,
Hawkins.
He ain't traveling. That man is not getting on a bus, so he's staying local. So yeah, that couldn't have been Pennywise.
He tells Will though that how he got rid of these nightmares with the clown was by kind of like standing up to him and just telling him instead of running away to like stand his ground and say like go away, which we'll get back to that later.
Man, what could go wrong?
So then we get to the middle school and Lucas is kind of chatting with Max about why people call Will Zombie Boy. So
Yep.
he's telling her a little bit of it about how it was like he came back from the dead. And she was like, after being missing in the woods, lost for the week in the woods. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, we had a funeral and everything. And tells her that like another kid drowned in the quarry and that they didn't know, they thought that the body was Will's because it was so decomposed, which he's telling her like the public version of the story.
Yeah, the telling the cover story, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But Max
And
is smart, like the math ain't mathin', as the kids say.
And then they go into the classroom, and this is always interesting to me, and it's like something that I feel like I want to like learn more about. But in class, you remember from the beginning of the season that that Mr. Clark says that they're going to be talking about the human brain. And
Correct.
in this one, they're talking about Phineas Gage, which is apparently like a true thing that happened with this guy that got like a rod, not a crowbar, a rod through his skull and was able to survive, but it completely changed his personality. So it's like whole foreshadowing for the whole season, basically, because it's like, yes, Will survived the upside down, but something is going on in his brain where like Vecna is able to kind of, well, not Vecna yet, but
Who's Vecna?
something is able to kind of like take control of his personality through his brain and that connection that they still
being
have.
a puppet master.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah, I like the whole thing where people would call him no longer Gage or something like that is what
Could
Mr.
you
Clark
imagine you get a fucking rod through the head and people are saying that to you? I'd be a dick too. Like, man, watch, it really wasn't the rod that did it. He was just so sick of people.
Yeah, leave me the fuck alone.
I've got a rod through my head. But I love that Dustin bursts in there dramatically and he's late and he keeps saying how sorry he is. And he isn't even chill.
Talking. Yeah, no,
not
he's
even
just
chill.
Like,
just like, we have to meet in the AV room after, during lunch, and then turns to Max. And I love that he includes her.
Yes, and she's super cute. Like,
her giving her thumbs up,
smiling.
Like, what the hell? And then I love that Mr. Clark is like, Dustin. He's like, yes, my lord. That killed me.
I know. He's such a nerd. I love it. So then we go to the police station, and Powell and Callahan, our favorite police officers, are reporting to Hopper about their findings from the night before and kind of saying, like, he's like, well, what else? And they're like, well, that's it. And he's like, well, did you really not find anything else, or did you just get tired of looking? And they were like, it was really dark.
It's called flashlights, dipshits. I would be gagged. I'd be like, holy shit, is bad.
But he circles things on a map, and he realizes that it's sort of forming a pattern surrounding the lab, obviously. And I like how he like storms out, and Flo just like hands him his keys on his way out. She's like anticipating his every move, but then Callahan's like, why has he gotta kick the door?
Yeah, I loved that. Freaking loved it. So we then go back to the cabin, and Al looks at the door, the mini locks on it, and she remembers Hopper taking Elle after finding her to his grandfather's old cabin, which he says he mostly uses for storage.
Yeah.
I never noticed him quickly moving the box that has
that one box.
That one. I never noticed
had,
that
flowers on it and stuff.
That broke my heart. I was like, yeah, that sucks. And he tells her that, like, right away. I'm like, oh, that's so he tells her, like, once they fix it up, it's going to be real nice, that this is her new home. And I do love that he puts on a vinyl of Don't Mess Around with Jim to like literally like we hear the same song in season 3, as we know, when he has a victorious moment. But It's his theme song. And long before Eddie Munson, we got the OG This Is Music.
This
And
is music.
I love the look of Hopper dancing. It sort of resembled like my prom date's face when Al's watching in confusion. Hopper was me dancing at prom, just standing in one place, zero rhythm. That was Stacy prom energy all the way. So if you ever want to imagine what 18-year-old Stacy looked on prom night, it was Hopper dancing.
I gotcha. So that's why you're not like really chomping at the bit to go to the homecoming dance with Dacre Montgomery.
Absolutely not. You guys would all look like 11, just like horrified, but also confused, because I would look like Hopper just with my hands just jiving in place. It's just not meant to be, guys. It's not meant to be.
Maybe Dacre likes to dance like that.
Just me and him both dancing like that side by side. That's what nightmares are made out of. But we see a montage. Yep.
We see a little cleaning montage. It's very cute. He teaches her how to like sweep, and then she's kind of like sweeping and dancing. He also teaches her Morse code, and I was looking up something else. I was looking up the book that he reads to her later, which we can talk about later.
We'll get into that, yeah.
But somebody pointed out in this one article that the knock that he teaches her, like the secret knock, in Morse code, that's US, like for us, which I thought was cute.
I would have never gotten that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Morse code is hard. Like, I'm telling you, 11 knows it, Hopper knows it, and Eddie thankfully knew it in season 4, because those assholes would have been stuck in the upside down. But
Morse code becomes important later in this season too.
Oh yeah.
Eddie doesn't know Morse code. Eddie knows what I know from Morse code.
Same.
SOS. Is that good?
No.
So he teaches her. Oh, and they also set up the tripwire. But then he gives her.
You must have known he knows the tripwire from his time in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gives her these 3 rules: don't open the blinds, don't go outside, or don't open the door, and don't go outside by yourself,
especially in the daytime.
Yeah. And so
what do we see Al do?
He calls them the don't be stupid rules, and she breaks all of the don't be stupid rules.
Yeah, she's fucking over it. And she steps over the tripwire, and she's sick of being cooped up.
Yeah, what does she say? She says something when she steps over it.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So, did you get chills? Did you feel like Millie Bobby Brown was with you?
Yeah.
So, she says, not stupid, and goes over the tripwire. So, clearly, that's not good. But then,
the best scene in the whole show.
We got to one of Megan and Stacy's favorite scenes. When it's right, it's right.
This is the only scene with Steve Harrington in this episode, because the next basketball scene doesn't happen until the next episode. Yeah.
So this is our only Steve scene.
This is our only Steve scene. This and like what with him and Nancy, like right after the basketball scene.
And we're gonna be good, because if it was up to us, we'd break this down in slow motion
and just like
by shot
for 20 minutes about every single dribble of the basketball,
every ripple of muscle. But we're gonna be good.
Rip of sweat off of them.
We're gonna be good, but it's art. It's literally, this is an art piece. I want it hanging above my TV. But it's shirts versus skins, and various skins, and it's clear that he kind of has it out for poor Steve. And he's taunting him about how he heard he was King Steve, which I heard from the Duffer Brothers that was a reference to Stephen King, that whole nickname, which I'm like, yeah. So he's telling him, you used to run
You heard from the Duffer Brothers, like when you guys had lunch.
We had coffee together. It was really nice, actually. It was great. Fucking asshole. So keep that in. All right.
Sorry.
So we're really tired, guys. So used to run this school, and then before he turned bitch, which I feel like it was-
No, the timing of that is so perfect because he says that to Steve and then Nancy comes in.
yeah,
He's Steve.
yeah. And the trick shot that I guess Dacre
Yeah.
makes, it was actually like completely by accident. And I heard that that person yelling off screen, screaming, "That's what I'm talking about." That's Sean Levy.
Oh, because I thought it was Tommy. But Sean Levy did direct this episode. I clocked that at the beginning.
Because I
So,
guess like his reaction of making that shot, that's him like looking at the crew
oh,
like, holy shit. So they kept it in, which was amazing. But yeah,
yeah,
you're right. What perfect timing, which also like to be a teenager again, guys, they were drinking heavily. They were drinking that jungle juice, that punch. And they're all like playing gym. Like I remember the good old days where you'd do a power raid and you'd be fresh as a daisy for school. But something is different about that punch. Like you would
yeah,
be on the fucking floor. Like as we
right.
see the pure fuel guy shows up, like everyone is in school and accounted for. Good
Yeah,
for them. Apparently nobody in Hawkins has hangovers. But what happens, Megan, when Nancy shows up?
right. So she pulls him outside to the little alley and confronts him. And I remember last episode when we talked about this, you were like, oh, yeah, she missed first period. But she didn't miss it because she was like hungover. She missed it because Steve didn't pick her up for school, which she's like, what the hell? Where were
Yeah,
you?
Mr. Carpool USA.
Yeah. And he is kind of an asshole. I love it. He's like,
Mhm.
I thought Jonathan would get you. And she's like, why? And obviously, she's kind of like saying that she doesn't remember what happened at the party. She was like,
Mm.
oh, I got drunk or I drank punch. You got mad at me because I had too much to drink and then you took me home. And he's like, no, Nancy, that was your other boyfriend. So she kind of doesn't remember that Jonathan was the one that took her home, not Steve.
Yeah.
And this is like heartbreaking because he basically tells her what went down and is like, you basically said our whole relationship is bullshit, that I'm bullshit, that we killed Barb. And he kind of gives her like a chance to like
Yeah.
say I love you because he's like, well then say it. And she's like, say what? And he his like face like tell me that you love me and she won't
So
do it.
heartbreaking. And
Like,
you know what? Like
hmm.
literally the look of her going like, really? And that's when the pure fuel guy shows up being like, that douchebag is kicking her ass. And
Oh
just
wait, that was the pure fuel guy.
that was the pure fuel guy. I was like, you were puking in the bushes. Now look at you. But literally, like, it just killed. First of all, Steve looks amazing.
Yeah.
Every little
This
like freckle, every
whole
mole.
scene, I need to go make a reel about it.
It's beautiful and it's heartbreaking because, like,
Yeah.
not for anything. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, they broke up right there," because he goes, "I think you're bullshit too," and he walks away, which
Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I
It
really
did
didn't
seem a
see that.
little bit of a breakup. I don't know. It was
I
definitely a bad fight.
It was a bad fight. I look at it as a bad fight
Right.
because, then he hears a few days later, like, no spoilers, but like Jonathan and her skipped, Tommy's
Yeah.
taunting. But like, he shows up a few days later with flowers to apologize. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the F are you apologizing for? But I get it,
Right.
guys. If you're Team Nancy, Team Steve, we totally get it. It's all good, agree to disagree. But that was definitely sad. You saw a little glimpse of poor
Yeah.
Steve, just getting his heart smashed in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this was like really good Joe Keery acting too, because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a perfect balance of like the little like bitchiness of like a high school boy and like the of vulnerability and emotion of him like saying like, well then tell me that you love me. Like,
Yeah.
it breaks your heart.
The next shot, which is really cool, is Dart's POV looking up at the kids from the Ghostbusters trap. And
Yes.
Dustin tells them its name and how, he found him foraging for food before handing him over. And I love the expressions of how all the kids being like, which that is some great acting, kids. If that was really just a ball, they're like,
Hmm.
"Ooh, he's slimy. He's like a live booger." And the only one that kind of like handles him normal is Mike because he's
Mike.
he's kind of like curious and he's looking at
Yeah.
him and he's like, well, what is he? And Dustin shows how he's been researching and originally thought it was a pollywog. Name drop. So
Mhm.
literally, explains that pollywog, aka tadpoles, are aquatic. And since Dart doesn't need water, he thought he could be a non-aquatic pollywog, but there's only two species of that, one that lives in India and one that lives in
South America. He basically thinks that he discovered a new species, so he's very impressed with himself.
yes.
And Will kind of gets like a weird look on his face and
Mm-hmm.
has a little flashback to that
Yep.
very end of season 1 where he's in the bathroom and he coughs up that upside down slime stuff
And it
that
looks a
sort
little
of
like
looks like a
Dart.
baby dart. So then we switch to Melvald's, Joyce's job,
Yes.
and Bob shows up with some bologna sandwiches.
Ladies, get you a man that will show up to work with a bologna sandwich.
Yeah,
Please.
to have a little lunch date, like, so sweet.
Oh,
Bob is honestly just like the perfect man.
he really is.
So this is just a really, really sweet scene. Bob
Mm.
is kind of telling Joyce how much he likes her, and not just her, but like everything that comes with her, like meaning
Yep.
like her boys. And he tells her that he really feels like he's starting to connect with Will,
I know.
which is really sweet. And Joyce is like, oh yeah, he likes you too.
Oh,
But he tells her about the VCR thing. What is it called? What does he
camcorder.
say? Yeah, but what does he say to Joyce? And Joyce is like, what? JVC, maybe? Like,
JVC, I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and Joyce is like, you're what? And he's like,
Yeah.
the video camera. And he tells her that it's like a little damaged. So he's like, not that it's a big deal. It still works. Like he's trying to like, you know, play it down a little bit, but he's like, I did watch it. And he mentions the bullies that were kind of
Mm-hmm.
like teasing Will and scared him. And he
The
talks a little bit
Zimmerman
about,
brothers.
yeah, she's like, was it the Zimmerman brothers again? Which are they the boys from season 1, I guess?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, were it those two little pricks? Like, kiss your
Yeah, I
pants
wasn't
again.
sure. The bullies at Halloween,
They
though,
looked bigger though.
they
Like
looked a little
teenagers.
older. Yeah. He gives a little like monologue about how he was also bullied and how
Oh,
like he
I
doesn't
love
know
that he
why people do
goes,
that.
yeah, he's like, that's what I love about you, Joyce, because she kind of is becoming like a mama bear, And he's like,
Yeah.
you push back. And he's like,
Yeah.
people like me and Will, we don't tend to push back, and bullies tend to like zero in on that and give us a harder time and rub our noses in it. And he literally like, he speaks like volumes right here when he goes,
Mhm.
I don't understand why they do it, And
Yeah.
it's so heartbreaking, even the look on Joyce's face, because she probably like knew the hard time he was having back in school when they knew him back when he was Bob the Brain, And he says like maybe it's because it makes them feel more powerful, And he just steals, Joyce, it like steals our hearts when he's like, but look at me now. I'm dating Joyce Byers. I'm dating Joyce Byers. It's just
Yeah.
so goddamn cute. Oh,
Then we go over to the lab. So I liked this scene too because it's
Mm.
like Hopper has rushed over there after noticing the kind of pattern that the like rotten pumpkins and stuff have made. And I like how Owens is, gaslighting again. And it's like, oh, I really like this design. It's very
really
psychedelic.
psychedelic.
Basically, Hopper is like, you need to go run tests on this shit. Like,
Yeah.
insisting, like, I keep this quiet for you. You keep your shit out of my town. Like,
Yeah.
go deal with your shit. Like, we go next back to the high school, and it's Jonathan and Nancy talking. And this is where we were kind of speculating that he was kind of fibbing a little bit about,
It looks like he's lying.
talking to Steve.
Yeah.
Nancy's basically asking him what happened because obviously she doesn't remember and was surprised by what Steve told her.
Yeah.
And Jonathan is like, no, like he wanted me to take you home. He was really upset. And he repeats it. He's like, I mean, he was really upset. So like,
Nancy's
poor
just drinking
Steve.
her tab, you know?
Yeah, I
Man.
think they had a can of Pringles there that they were sharing, but they sort of connect a little bit because Nancy is talking about how she's having a hard time like moving on and pretending
Mm.
everything's okay. And she just feels, and then Jonathan says, like you're carrying a heavy weight. And she says, yes. And he says he gets it. She tells him that like it's not the same for him because Will came back and Barb didn't. And he's like, yeah, Will came back, but it's not like he's okay. Like,
Eh.
and so she sort of expresses her frustration and her anger that like the people responsible have just gotten away with it, that nobody
Yeah.
knows what really happened. And Jonathan's basically like, the people responsible are dead. And she was like, do you really believe that? Do you really think that everybody's dead? Which, I mean, she's right. We find out that Brenner wasn't dead, but
Mhm.
we don't find that out for a while though.
Yeah, that takes a while. Do you notice the person, like, and listening to their headphones? They were
Yeah.
sitting pretty far away. They were loud.
Yeah. That was some loud headphones like mine.
Look at that. Love that. Love
No, but
that.
she notices this kid listening to a Walkman, and she's like, "Hey, Jonathan, your mom's boyfriend works at Radio Shack, right? You
I
want to
love
skip
that.
fourth period?"
Which are there even Radio Shacks still existing, or are they all gone?
I don't know. You want me to
They
Google it?
they were, remember when there were commercials with like Terry Hatcher? Like they were popular for a while. I don't really remember ever stepping foot in one, but they were popular.
So when I search Radio Shack near me, they all show as closed. So R.I.P.
Oh,
Radio
pour
Shack.
one out. Radio Shack. The next scene is Elle walking in the woods. She happens upon the backyard of a mother pushing a toddler, a little unsafe, but you know, who am I to judge? And she has a flashback to Hopper, and we're going to be talking about this, reading the book Anne of Green Gables, which everybody knows the story of me starring in that play, Oscar winning, to Elle. And he mentions while he's reading it about like a mother. And what does Elle ask?
Yeah, so she asks if she has a mother, and he's like, "Of course you have a mother. You can't be born without a mother." And she asks like where her mother is, and Hopper's kind of vague. He just says like your mom's not around anymore. And
Mm,
she asks gone, and he says, "Yeah, gone."
this poor girl.
I think we talked about this is the same book that he was reading to Sarah in the
Yep.
hospital. Funny enough, I have not watched it, but you know, the actress that plays Vicky
She's the lead of
plays.
Anne of Green
Yeah,
Gables, right? On
and
Netflix,
in the Netflix version, yep.
which I heard is like super good. Wow,
Yeah, I
look at
haven't
that.
seen it.
Yeah, but that is just like this poor goddamn girl. It just pulls on the heartstrings because like Hopper knows what happened to Terry. So
Yeah,
clearly, I think his answer was good enough, but that's heartbreaking. So she snaps out of the memory, and the
right.
mom has noticed her. And the mom has walked down with her adorable little toddler. And Elle asks where school is. And the woman is kind of like, are you okay? And then finally points in the direction saying it's about a mile away. And she asks, where are your parents? And Elle uses her powers. And the, you know, little toddler's like, look, mommy. And
Yeah.
the
It's like,
swing,
"Al, can you be a little bit more subtle
yeah,
about,
like,
like,
dude,
the distraction here?"
you could have just made the swing kind of look like the wind was getting it, but no,
Yeah,
instead
it's
makes it
like
go loop-de-loop.
swinging.
Dude, and, like, when she looks back, Elle is gone, which I'm like, "Oh, Elle, what the fuck?" Joyce comes home the next scene, and she tries to watch the tape from the camcorder. I love that she has to call Bob and have him kinda, like, walk her through it. We've all been through that. And once she does, it's heartbreaking to see her reaction at these little pricks picking on Will. And I instantly thought of what you said during our Halloween episode, where you're like, how awkward for Will. Like, he's
I
just yelling
know.
for Mike, and everyone's just looking at him like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But
Oh,
did you
God.
also notice that, like, poor Bob? So Joyce is on the phone with Bob and he's explaining it. And then he starts, like, saying something about
Making a
making plans
date.
at night. And then she just, like, it's blue. I think it's working, and hangs up. And he's like, Joyce? Joyce?
Yeah, just sitting there in Radio Shack doing his, little gizmo things. Like, poor Bob. She notices that at one point when the camcorder drops and Will's looking up in the sky, if you pause it, the tracking, which is like the static guys, it's
Mhm.
in the shape of something. So she's smart enough to grab actually a piece of paper and trace it. And she sees that it actually is that octopus spider kind of like shaped thing. And it looks exactly like Will's drawing. Oh, shit.
They cut back to the school where the kids are about to show Mr. Clark Dart.
Mhm.
But Will out in the hallway kind of stops Mike and tells him something. And then you see Mike run in and like stop them from telling
Yep.
Mr. Clark. And Mr. Clark is just like so chill. Like he
I
doesn't
would
really
be like,
seem
if I stayed after and the kids pulled that, I'd be like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. And then I like it's later, but it's like they are all like running around the school like weirdos, and he's just leaving and he just like gives them a salute like
He's just like, I couldn't be bothered.
yeah. But
Ugh.
they also cut to a little scene of Billy. So we got another scene of Billy kind of waiting for Max out in the parking lot, and the girl that he's
And
with
he's
is
got a
like,
girl.
yeah, he's got this girl, and she's like, well, is she coming? Like they're waiting for Max,
Mhm.
and he decides that she can skate home and just leaves,
And
and
he
is
makes a little
like,
comment. Yeah.
right, don't call her that. And the girl's like, what? And he's like, she's not my sister.
All right. So poor Max, she is locked out of the AV room. She's hammering on the door. She wants to be let in, but Mike won't let her. And they explain that Will saw something that looks like Dart, minus the tail last year and the upside down, that it sounded exactly like it as well. And Mike thinks maybe Will is like almost like being trapped in the upside down gave him the gift of second sight. I'm assuming that's a D&D term. The only other time I ever heard it was in the novel and movie The Dead Zone, and that was like being psychic. It
Okay.
gives you the power to see into the eternal plane, whatever the fuck that is, and that maybe what's happening to Will isn't flashbacks, but he can actually see now into the upside down. So Lucas thinks they need to bring Dart to Hopper. Good old Lucas, he's the brains. So right away, Dustin is clearly against this. He's afraid that Hopper might hurt or kill Dart. And even if he is from the upside down, Dart trusts Dustin since they have a bond, Megan.
Yeah, he said he told Dart that he would protect him. But I have to like call out Mike's Star Wars reference because of course. So Dustin is saying basically like just because he's from the upside down doesn't mean he's bad, which I think this could be kind of like something that may end up coming back. We might
Yeah.
find out that not everything from the upside down was bad. I wonder. But Mike's like that's like saying that just because someone's from the Death Star doesn't make them bad.
I instantly thought of you.
Yeah. I did think of like the sequels where like the one guy's like a stormtrooper and he ends up being like one of the good guys. So
Yes. Finn. Yep.
yeah,
Love that one.
him.
Love that one. Dustin opens up the ghost trap, and lo and behold, Dart has gotten bigger and he sprouts legs. So Mike
Mhm.
tries to hit him with the microphone, but Dart jumps off the table. And literally, guys, like I know I've referenced this before, but the soundtrack sounds exactly like the Gremlins theme.
Oh, okay.
There is a scene in Gremlins where the lead character brings Gizmo in a box to a science lab that is kind of lit like the AV Club, and it's very similar. So I can kind of see what you said about the whole Gremlins reference thing. It sounds like the Gremlins theme when it jumps off the table.
Yeah, and Max was out in the hallway and tired of waiting for them and had started to pick the lock. So just as Max gets the door open is when Dart jumps off the table, so he gets away. He
Shitty
escapes.
timing, man.
So then we cut back to the Wheeler house, and Jonathan and Nancy get home to Nancy's, and they have a very awkward encounter with Mrs.
Yeah.
Wheeler.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Jonathan, so nice to see you." And they lie and say that they have a test and that they have to study. And they go up to Nancy's room, and they call Marcia Holland. I did not know that was her first name, who
Yep.
is Barb's mom. And I guess they have this whole plan that they're gonna, like, pretend like they're gonna tell Barb's mom something, and then we'll
Yep.
see what happens with that, but, like,
They know
we'll
the
have to
phones
come
are
back.
tapped.
Yeah, they know that they're gonna listen in, but it's
Yeah.
like, how do they get Barb's mom to not actually show up?
I was thinking about that. I was like, what the hell it's like the government like killed this poor woman. They stabbed her
Right.
neck. I'm
But I
like,
think they have a funeral for Barb later, and she's there, I
she's
think,
there.
but
She's fine, guys.
yeah.
But yeah, that was their plan apparently. And they were gonna meet at it was Forest Hills Park, which I'm like, is that near the
Right.
Forest Hills trailer park?
Trailer park?
Hmm. Notice
I
that.
know.
So we'll see in the next episode if that plan worked itself out.
At the farm, Owens has followed Hopper's advice and has his team kind of like investigating the rotten pumpkins.
Yeah.
And he tells Hopper to keep the area clear. But as he's leaving, Hopper gets a call from Powell, who is with that mom that 11 had run into
Oh
and is
shit,
sort of
busted.
reporting. Yeah.
Yep.
So Powell's like, you remember that Russian girl that Murray was going on about? Like,
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
he
think
wasn't
he's
so crazy after all. So Hopper
Hopper
obviously like
books it.
freaks. Yes.
Yeah.
And then Elle gets to the school. And I like the moment where she like sees Mike's bike. That was really sweet.
Her like touching it too. I was like,
Yeah.
I yet again never noticed that before. So
Yeah.
that that got to me.
That was a nice little moment.
Yeah.
But inside, also this I thought was a really cool scene. So this is what I was talking about earlier when they like kind of pass Mr. Clark and he gives them a
Yeah.
salute. But I was like, oh, it makes sense that Sean Levy directed this episode because it's very like the lines and the hallways and them like turning around corners. I just felt like the whole thing was like shot very well and very cool.
Yeah.
And I really liked the part where Lucas kicks in the door and the teacher's
killed
still in
me.
the classroom and she yells at him and I was like, oh, that's me.
Been there before. Yeah. I was like, kid just barges in. You're like, what the hell? But I love that they're doing a sweep. You know, they're going, okay, West Wing is, clear, East Wing is clear. And it's all of them looking. So they're doing a pretty good job looking for this
Yeah.
little booger.
Yeah, exactly. So Mike and Max have a little encounter. So
They
they
do.
both have gone into the gym and they end up in the boys' locker room and Mike gets spooked by Max and he's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing in here? This is the boys' room, like get out. And
Mhm.
then they're back in the gym and they're kind of arguing about why Max is asking Mike why he hates her and why he doesn't want her in their party. And he kind of slips up and talks and mentions Elle. So she's kind of curious about who Elle was. And then they actually start sort of like teasing each other and make each other like kind of laugh and
Yeah.
smile a little bit for a moment there because Max is saying like she could be their Zoomer and she starts skateboarding around Mike and like kind of basically like ragging on him that he wouldn't be able to do it. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I wouldn't, but maybe if I practiced all day
For
or
a whole
something.
day. Yeah.
He's so funny. But just as they have this little like moment together, guess who sees?
Shitty timing. Shitty timing.
Yes. Exactly. Because literally Mike has been so mean to Max this whole time.
But
and
one
the
goddamn time. The one time he makes a fraction of a smile, she's like, you cheating bastard.
Yeah.
And literally makes Max fall on her ass. And
Yeah.
Max says, like, oh, right away, Mike's concerned, which is sweet. And he's like, oh my God, are
Yeah.
you okay? And she's like, yeah, you're going to call me crazy, but I felt like a magnet pulled me. And, right away, he knows what the fuck that means. So he
Yeah.
looks and we see that Elle is gone.
Yep. But he knows that he like senses that it was probably her.
Yeah.
And right at that moment, you see Joyce calling the school because she has made this connection of like the shadow monster that Will is seeing, and she kind of knows that it's not just in his head, but
Yeah.
the office secretaries.
The secretaries, guys, if you work in a school, you don't fuck with the secretaries. You don't piss them off. So I love that literally they just mouth like, it's Joyce.
And like
they're
roll their
over
eyes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell she's a frequent caller. We'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
So she asks to talk to Mr. Clark since Will is there after school for AV club, but the secretary says that she just saw Mr. Clark leave for the day, which he did, and that maybe AV club was canceled, which it was. Because the boys had better things to do, which you can also see that like they are literally the whole AV club. Like there's nobody else in AV
There's
club.
nobody else. Yeah.
So Will finds Dart
Mhm.
and is kind of like trying to like approach it, but it makes that screeching noise that sounds
And
an
he-
awful lot like some other
damn
things that we've
fucking-
heard.
And he
So
hits bricks. Like he literally is out of there. And I don't blame
Yeah.
him. I'd run too.
no, he books it, but then basically the halls turn into like the upside down, which again is a really
Yep.
cool like shot, and the shadow is kind of like following him through the halls. And then we cut back to Dustin finding Dart because Will had called in
Mhm.
that his location, and Dustin decides to hide Dart.
And a lot of
from-
people give Dustin shit for this, but like that would be the equivalent of like Quinn being in the bathroom. And I know like my friends and Hopper's gonna kill Quinn. I'd put Quinn
Yeah.
somehow. I'd shove his little chubby ass
Exactly.
underneath my hat and I'd protect him. So you know what? I get it.
Yeah, I don't fault Dustin. I get it. Then we have Will. Okay, so this scene, I need to like edit this scene together with Eddie
Oh,
because it is
good one.
literally like frame for frame.
The whole thing
like
of
almost exactly the
character
same.
not running away and then something fucking terrible happens. Stranger Things is the
Yes,
message.
Exactly.
Run for your life. Yeah.
Run away. Run for
Yeah.
your fucking life. Like there is no
Running. Yep.
shame in running. Like Eddie, you were right the
Woo.
first time. But it's literally like he's running just like Eddie is running. He stops, he turns around, he looks up at it, and he's like swarmed.
It's bad.
Like the whole bat thing is like literally this.
It's just,
whole
and it's
scene
so edited
over
well
again.
too, with like Will remembering Bob's speech, and how he told the clown, and his nightmares, go away, go away. And it's him screaming it, like borderline crying, screaming, go away. And that thing, like it goes
Yeah.
through every orifice of this poor kid, like right in his eyeballs, his nose, his mouth. And it's so
Yeah, it's
gross.
disgusting.
And you just like the whole thing with Bob being like just like that. And it cuts to black. And you're like,
Right.
what the hell just happened?
I totally thought that Bob was evil when I first watched this
Mhm.
because of this scene. Like, obviously, we love Bob now. We know that that's not true. But when I first watched this, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
That was
Bob
terrible
is
advice.
evil. Like, this is
Yep.
all Bob's fault. Like, he was trying to, like, influence him.
Megan's
like,
ready to lead the
I don't
mob with the
know.
torches to go after Bob because she's like, fuck this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was, and just, it's such a cold ending. I mean, I know a cold opening. This was a cold ending.
Yeah. And the music is, like, is
Yeah.
very creepy.
Pollywog,
like,
I gotta tell you,
ooh.
it is good.
Yeah. Whew.
That was a
that was
doozy. Great
That
episode.
was a great episode.
Pollywog.
not enough Steve, but
Yeah,
that's my only
it could have
complaint.
used a little more Steve, but you know what?
Great episode. We're super excited to be back on our deep dives. We'll do the next
Yes.
one next week. And then we got some other fun stuff in store
Can't
coming up
wait.
the next few weeks. We have a bunch of Patreon bonus episodes
Mm-hmm.
dropping pretty soon, and some other special guests lined up. And yeah, so just stay tuned. Follow us on social media to get all of the updates at Skull Rock Broadcast. And I'm Steady Stories, and Stacy is Stay Still Reviews. You can find us on Patreon as well if you want to get access to little like deleted clips from our show.
They
Those are
are.
always a good time, and some other bonus content. There is probably going to be some deleted content from this
Absolutely.
episode. So
Absolutely.
we were in rare form tonight, so we've got lots of lots of material for the
Yep.
Patreon members. So, all right. Well, I think that's it. Is that it?
Filming updates?
Oh man, filming up. It's merch. Okay, sorry. Let me get myself together. Here. Filming updates. So today, I was barely on Instagram, but I did see that we got that
Mhm.
cute little video of the two
Yes.
new characters. So it was Nell Fisher and Jake something. So Nell and Jake did a little video, and it was a little weird. They were talking about their favorite plants. So
Interesting.
yeah, but it was cute to see them. I think they're adorable.
They are.
I don't know. There's been a lot of like spoiler rumors, and I guess
Oh,
I just kind of like I stay out of that for some. I guess maybe because I've been so busy too lately that I just have literally not
yeah.
seen any of it, which I'm like great with. Like I'm in my own little bubble apparently, but
You're lucky, dude. You're lucky because
yeah.
it's going like nuts. And I'm just like, guys, just trust the process and wait.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have seen like some like church scenes were filmed and
they're
they were
filming
talking
out
about
there.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on some more official filming updates. We did have a little bit of news about the Upside Down convention.
Yes, do tell.
So we had a new guest announced, which is a highly anticipated guest for both of us. And we will be getting the pleasure to meet the lovely Maya Hawke herself at the Upside Down.
Guys, I'm telling you, that was like the last guest, unless they magically get Joseph Quinn, but that was the last guest. I was like, they need to get Robin. They need to get her.
Yeah.
So when they announced that, I screeched. And it takes a lot to get me excited now these days. I'm a corpse, but literally I screamed. And I'm just the fact that I know you and I are both getting photo ops with both her and Joe Keery, and just those characters we know are so close to our hearts. And just the fact that we're going to be meeting them, like I am giddy as a schoolgirl right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I still am holding out for Finn and Sadie because I really just want like all of the like OG kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I was so excited for Maya. Like I've seen her in person before because I did see her concert that I went to, her live music show. But it'll be really cool to get her autograph and get a photo with her and Joe and just like get to see them interact. Like I'm super excited for that. Okay, merch,
baby. All right, so merch this week was very exciting because last Thursday, Bath and Body Works, they dropped their chapter 2 of their release of Stranger Things themed products. Earlier this summer in July, they released 4 scented candles, one based off Steve, one based off Hopper, one based off Argyle, one based off 11, and they were fantastic. Yep. So this time around, so it was funny, my Bath and Body Works employees, as soon as I stepped through it was like they opened at 10. I walked in the door at like still 10 o'clock. Like it wasn't even 10:01. And they were like, we had bets that you were going to be our first customer. And I'm like, damn, okay, I'm a little embarrassed, but okay. But they were super sweet. And I know you went to your Bath and Body Works. The setups were beautiful.
They were so beautiful. It was like a little bit more, exciting and cool looking than
Then
the
the
last
last
one.
drop. Yeah, the
Mhm.
last drop was on this like dinky little table, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This time they went all out. They had, cutouts and this and that and signs. They had the Stranger Things music playing. And it just looked, the colors of everything looked so beautiful. But they had two separate candle holders. They were a little pricey. I did not get them, but they had two separate candle holders. They had three new scents, which were the Demogorgon, the Upside Down, and Eddie's leather jacket. Of course, me and Megan were complete opposites. I smelled Eddie's leather jacket, and I was like, oh, I still bought one though, guys, because I had to.
I
But
like it. I actually
yeah,
burned it.
oh,
Yeah.
girl, it smells like a kid that used too much Axe body spray. Like, damn. But to each its own. I thought the Demogorgon was a little too powerful, but everyone says that once you light it as a candle, it smells much better. But I
Yeah,
liked the
I
Upside
like
Down.
that one a lot. I like both of them. I like all three of them actually a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I only bought 2 Eddie's leather jacket and 1 of each of the other ones, and I kinda wish I had more of the other ones because I'm excited for them, but yeah, I liked all of it, and it was a little bit more exciting, like you said, like, the setup was bigger, it was, there was, like, the candle holders, they also had the little, like, antibacterial
Which
pocket
were
things.
super cute. I totally
So
forgot to
cute.
grab one, so I'm kicking myself.
I didn't you got the little wallflower thing, the little nightlight, I did
I
not get
did.
that.
I just right away, I was like, it lights up, it's wonderful. So it's got the Demogorgon in it. It looks fantastic. I'm burning my upside down candle right now as we speak. They did all the sanitizers, which were just upside down, and then they did the
Yeah.
hand soaps, which
In
were
all
the
the
same
3,
the
yes.
same scents as the candles, and they were
I
in
got a
cool.
bunch of those,
They
yeah.
were in cool colors too, red, blue, and black. But
Yeah.
the hand sanitizers, one is just the Stranger Things logo, which plays the music. One was a Demogorgon, and one was like, it's Eddie's cassette. It plays like rock music.
Yeah.
So they went all the F out. Like, part of me is
Yeah.
like, you guys should do a chapter 3. But
I was
oh,
thinking that, but this was awesome,
it
and
was so much fun.
it was really cool because I don't know about your store, but it like the display was also like had the Halloween candles
It
on the other
did on the
side.
other side. Yeah.
Yeah, so and it really fits with like the Halloween like vibe of like
Mm.
the coming season. So I think that made sense. But it was the girl. So I went to a different one this time because I have a mall, and that was the one I went to last time. But like right across the street from the mall is like a outdoor like shopping strip,
Nice.
and they also have a Bath and Body Works. So I went to that one, and the girl that was like restocking all of the stuff, like I was like taking them as she was like putting them on the
I
shelves.
cannot. She's
And
like, this dick.
but she was laughing at me because she was like, she basically, I think I did a reel of it on our Instagram, but she's like, oh, you know that TikTok thing where it's like, this is sensational, give me 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
But she was like, that's exactly what you look like.
That was you. You were living your best life, stocking your baskets. I literally, I kept telling the ladies, I was like, well, my birthday's coming up, so this is my treat for myself. And I can justify buying these candles because YOLO. And I
Yeah.
had so much fun shopping for them. I hope, I can definitely go back and things won't sell out. You can order on the site, which will give you rewards. But it was just so much fun that this was the perfect way to end summer off with them doing this kind of drop.
Yeah, absolutely. And your birthday is on Friday, right?
It's on Saturday, the
Oh, okay,
31st.
Saturday. So when you are listening to this, make sure you wish Stacey a happy birthday.
Yeah, well, fucking corpse at this point. Jesus.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for merch because
Yep.
that's pretty much what we've been focused on. But I know you posted or you sent me some new rumored Funko Pops today.
Yes.
So
There's going to be maybe a Mind Flare Funko Pop, which is so weird. I figured who sent it. I think it was Haley, actually. She was
yeah,
like, why don't we have that? And I'm like, look at that. Manifested
there we
again.
go. We
Woo!
did it. Are we done? Are we actually done this time?
We're done. So, guys, I guess we'll be talking to you next time. Over and out.
Over and out.
Eddie, I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting to suck her. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
All right, so we're back.
Yep.
We didn't talk about what we were reading last week because we had our tattoo episode and our secret segment was a little different. I did have somebody reach out and tell me that they didn't realize that we were doing the secret segment on our deep dive episodes. So we might have to put it out there because I know not everybody is listening to the deep dives right now, like if you're not actually doing the rewatch, but we are still doing our secret segment on these deep dive episodes. So we might have to like make sure that people know that. But we just can't pass up the chance to talk about what we've been reading, but we're still just reading the same thing that we've been reading.
We are. We're being bad girls.
So I like how we have like those like summer reading bingo cards things, and we're just like literally have been reading the same fic for a month.
Just two pieces of shit, guys. Sorry.
But it's long and it's so good. And I only have like the smallest amount left of like what's already released. And I'm like, I could potentially like maybe finish it tonight. I don't know if I will because you know how I am. I don't like to finish things. So we'll see. But I need you to catch me up a little bit.
So I literally the last few days of my summer break, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start plowing through it. So I finished part 1, started part 2. And this is the aftermath. And you basically are seeing what happens to Billy, which, you know, I'm trying to like just give a few examples without spoiling too much, but I couldn't feel bad for him. I just really couldn't, you know, I actually was cheering for Hopper. I was just like, this needs to stop. And we get to see Steve recovering, and it was so refreshing to see Robin back and the kids. And
I was excited for you to get to Robin. Yeah,
like I had missed her so badly, and it broke my heart the last time they interacted at the supermarket. And I like that Steve starts noticing like, well, who's bringing you guys to the hospital, and that it's Eddie, and just the damage that has been done to him. And you know, it's almost like very adjacent, you know, like, okay, this is almost like fan fiction canon with him needing glasses and him needing a hearing aid, and them noticing like the damage done to him. So they're trying to like, you know, get him to talk to a sexual abuse, you know, like counselor, and he's just in complete denial. And it's so heartbreaking. And this person writes, you know, real heavy stuff so well, but Steve was an abuse victim since a very early age. And is so blinded by it, is so afraid, you know, like I need to get home and make sure the house is, you know, nice for Billy. And just the fact that he needs to go see him. And it's almost like at first when he went to go visit him, I was like, no, God damn it. Absolutely not. But then Billy is like, you shouldn't come here anymore. I don't want to see you. You know, it would be better. I need to keep my head down, not be thinking about you. And then his sentence ends up going a little longer, which I was like, oh, thank God. And then it's just a downward spiral when Steve gets home. And that was really hard to see such a beloved character go through it like that. And you see Eddie's keeping an eye on him. And it got so heavy when he goes to the bar and stuff, and him calling Hopper. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So it was just like right away my heart was breaking. So then when he shows up to Eddie, you know, Eddie wouldn't cross that line because he knew he was drunk and stuff. Things get very violent and stuff. And I love that even though, you know, he doesn't want to, he calls Robin in the morning, but Robin notices that he smacked him. And he's like, he had a knife, Robin. What was I supposed to do? And she's like, you could have done something else. And I felt so, like, after reading all that heavy stuff, it felt so good to read him almost moving in with Robin in her cute little apartment behind the bakery. And then he starts gaining weight and starts like actually like healing, and actually goes to the like different like sessions for the abuse survivors. So I'm at the part right now that they went to Jonathan's birthday party, which, him running up to that sink, baby. And
oh yeah, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Holy
Every time Eddie says that, it's like it continues.
Like, literally, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, holy shit. And now it's like Will, kind of almost his point of view, being like, I know
Mm,
that you like Steve because just the way you guys are looking at each other,
yeah.
And just like that whole conversation when Robin's like, I think you should give a little space between you and Eddie. And Eddie stops calling because Steve asks him not to, but he knows that it's Robin. And then the one night Robin's out, how convenient, Eddie calls and they're like, it's a landline, guys, which so that kills me. Him like stretching the cord and him like Steve pleasuring himself while talking to Eddie.
Yeah.
Like, like there's so many red flags, but then there's so many kind of like beige flags because, like you said, both of them are almost like equally fucked up. That it's like a
Yeah.
puzzle piece that goes together. They're almost like what they need. But Robin is kind of keeping the guard up, and she rightfully so because this is the first time in forever that Steve's actually starting to do better. Like he looks better. He's, socializing. He went out to a party. So I am just living for this,
Yeah.
Megan.
There's
Living for it.
there's some tough stuff coming up
Okay.
in what you haven't read yet, but some fun stuff, but also some really, really tough stuff.
I'm
But
shocked.
yeah. But you haven't been to the club yet, right?
No, not yet. Only the first time around in part 1.
Yeah. No, there's another club.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited.
This
for
is
you to
going to
read
look
that.
like the fucking Frankie Says Relax music montage and Body Double. Like, that's probably what I'm imagining the club looks like. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I can't wait for you to read that.
I'm on
You
it,
read
man.
both of those other shorter Onion Chiver fics that we talked about
Yes.
recently, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Holy shit.
Just a little foreshadowing for you.
Oh, okay. All right. That kind of, yep, that explains it. Okay. Their stuff is just
yeah.
so good. I'd love for one day, if they were ever comfortable enough, I'd love for them to be a guest on here because I just want to pick their brain because
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could even do it. I would fangirl too hard.
you and me would be it would be like having morning berries. Like literally, we wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves because these are things like one day I'd love to actually get them like other fans have gotten actually done up as books because
Yeah.
this is like reading a novel right now. It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's been so much fun. And I'm not emotionally ready to be like not have more to read because I'm going to be going through like major withdrawal,
Big
but
time.
then we'll have to just join all of the people waiting for the next chapters. And
Yep.
we've got lots of other Onion Chiver stuff to read and also some new Morning Berries coming out that I'm excited about.
Can't wait.
And yeah, I mean, there's lots to read. I just always have a hard time like with the transition when I've been reading like a really long fic for a while. So
Mhm.
we'll be there for each other.
We will be. Don't you worry.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm trying to convince myself. My sleep schedule has suffered greatly while I've been reading Prism.
Well,
So
you just can't put it down. That's the problem.
know.
Like, guys, I will fully admit, I was up until like, mind you, this was like, still during summer. I was up until like 3 a.m. reading this shit because it was so captivating. I couldn't put it down.
yeah, I've stayed up that late sometimes, and I've been officially at my new position at my job for 2 weeks now, and it's like catching up to me. So
Yep. We got to be good now. We got to be good.
I just need to like get some sleep because we have only like 50 days until Atlanta. Like I need to do some self-care
Yeah.
preparation for
Put
that
some
trip.
cucumbers on your eyes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So that I don't have the bags under
Yeah,
my eyes in all
be
of my
fine.
photo ops.
I can't.
That's what I'm thinking about now. Oh, all right. Well, this was super fun as always.
Of course.
I think next week, guys, we might have some new things to talk about because I will have finished Prism by then. And it's like Labor Day weekend next weekend before we record. So should have some other fics to talk about by then. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that was fun. Talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time. Over and out.
Over and out.